Do you know who my favorite Marvel superhero is? Spider-Man, one of Marvel's best and most famous heroes of the massive comic book franchise, which later turned into multiple TV shows and multiple movies. Some of them were great, some of them were meh. It was also the time when Sony bought out the rights to Spider-Man and turned them into a movie. And they starred Tobey Maguire. By the way. The Spider-Man Sam Raimi Trilogy is a series of films based on our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. These movies are directed by Sam Raimi, who has a soft spot for directing and producing such horror films like the Evil Dead franchise and the Grudge movies, which I'm probably not gonna sit through even though they're PG-13. Don't Breathe, and of course, Doctor Strange 2. People may find these movies a little corny and silly because of the weird CGI and the weird dialogue, and that's why these movies are incredible. They were lighthearted and fun for the whole family and for young children. When I first watched all three of these movies in 2015, I loved them, and I'll admit, I like Spider-Man 3. I know, it's a shocker, I know, it's shocking. Now, without any further ado, let's get straight into the review. I heard people went crazy over this movie back then, when it was the beginning of a new era of comic book movies. This film features our main character, Peter B. Parker, aka Bully Maguire, who is from New York, Queens, and lost both his parents in a plane crash. Spoiler for TASM 1. So he lives with his Aunt May and Uncle Ben. But later, when he's on a school trip, he gets bitten by a radioactive spider and becomes our favorite web-headed hero, Spider-Man. The origin story is amazing. We know more about Peter's character and how he became Spider-Man. It's interesting and engaging. The writers do an amazing job giving us more of an in-depth story of our favorite web-headed hero, and how he's directing this movie is something else. It makes the story more engaging and more interesting. I love how Maguire portrays Peter as a dorky, wimpy, geeky character in this movie. It works perfectly. Tobey's performance is fine. Some actors do a really good job, and some of them do a pretty weird job. For instance, James Franco's performance it's not my favorite. His character is good, but the acting sounds like he's uninterested and bored out of his mind, and while trying to act.
Peter, may I introduce my father, Norman Osborn?
Like, he sounds sarcastic when he's saying it. Alright, here are two good actors who are actually doing a really good job. It's J.K. Simmons and Willem Dafoe. Their performances are next level. Dafoe portrays Norman Osborn as a neglectful father to Harry and a businessman who has a crumbling organization called Oscorp, and a crazy villain named Green Goblin, because in the comics he's a malicious Spider-Man villain and one of the best villains in the comics. J.K. Simmons does an amazing job giving us a good portrayal of the character in the movie as well. He is one of the funniest characters in all of them because he's trying to be angry and a loud owner of the Daily Bugle, but at the same time he's just making us laugh when he sounds angry. Aunt May is a good character, same as Uncle Ben, but he gets killed off soon. The action sequences are good, but most of them are just CGI, and I have to admit, I like the CGI. It makes the movie even funnier because the CG is just campy and goofy, and it works for the movie. But when Spider-Man starts flying, it looks like a cartoon, but in a good way. The climax is the best part of the movie. It gives us more action, more emotion that these characters feel, and Osborn's monologue is amazing. He gives Spider-Man two choices: save his girlfriend or save the children. So he does both, and it's just breathtaking. Yes, the CGI is weird, but who cares? The climax does not disappoint. Although, pretty good start to the franchise. It was a critical, financial success, and that will lead us to the sequel. After a significant success with the first movie, Sony decided it was time to make a sequel, and hey, it turned out to be a major success too. Now this is the movie that people were slobbering over for like 18 years and saying it's the best comic book movie of all time. Well, is it? Let's find out. Anyways, the opening of the movie gives us a pretty cool recap of the first movie. In case you forgot, I love how they recap the first movie visually, and it's all because of the art style, and it looks amazing. First, we see Peter at his job as a pizza boy, but a few minutes later, he messes it up, all because of being late. So he gets himself fired. He tries to get a raise from the Daily Beagle, but that doesn't work out. He's late to his classes with Connors, and his best friend hates him, all because Peter knows Spider-Man and he thinks Spider-Man killed his father. Now, this movie is about Peter losing everything he loves, all because of being Spider-Man. So later in the movie, he starts losing his powers because of the stress he's been feeling, and all because of everything that's happened in his life. So now Peter has two choices to make, be Spider-Man or have a normal life. But he chooses the normal life he wanted, and later saves a little girl from a burning building, and realizes that without his powers, he's nothing. He's not Spider-Man. Also, I wanted to tell you that Mary Jane is kind of rude to Peter in this movie. She's getting married to John Jameson all because she's mad at him for not being there for her, nor being at her live show. But here's another really good villain in the movie, Dr. Otto Octavius, played by Alfred Molina. I love how Alfred Molina tries to portray his character, but he's kind of dumb in this movie. He tests his machine when people are too close to the thing with no protective gear for anyone, but he has goggles to protect himself, not anyone else. Don't you think people might want to step back a little further from the machine? I mean, hey, that's how your wife died. So now he's a supervillain. His arms are now controlling him because of the chip that controls the arms on his body, which is now destroyed. So now his entire villain plot is that he's evil and he must finish his science experiment by stealing money to get supplies to finish his machine to change the world or something like that. I have no idea. Anyways, the train scene is one of the best parts in this movie. It gives us an action-packed CGI train scene, but it's full of adrenaline rush. It gives us a powerful scene when Peter stops the train from falling off an unfinished train track, and many people on the train carry him gently, giving him his mask by telling him they won't tell anyone. But Alfred Molina comes in and ruins everything and kidnaps Peter, and that's it. James Franco's acting is worse. It's just not doing it. And he's also a rude person. He's like the biggest pile of garbage I've ever seen. He was saved by Spider-Man, but he was rude. I mean, come on, man, he just saved you. The action is the same thing as the first one. The climax, you already know about it. MJ leaves her boyfriend on their wedding day because she wants to be with Peter because he's Spider-Man. But everything else in this movie is pretty good. It made a little less money at the box office, but it got good reviews and gained an audience in 2004. Anyways, let's get to the best meme movie of the century. Now look, like I said earlier, I know I'm supposed to hate this movie, but I really like this one, plus it's one of the best meme movies out there. And the reason why is because, the Bully McGuire. Aside from all that, the movie starts off with Peter's life going well. He's doing good in school, the city is safe and sound, and he's gonna propose to Mary Jane. Life is good, am I right? Well, no. You see, this movie aims for more of a darker tone. He starts to lose everything all over again. And guess what? The symbiote from space takes over and gives him a new suit that causes him to do bad things and act all emo and all that. And after that, the symbiote goes to Topher Grace and becomes Venom. And it's one of the worst designs I have ever seen in my life. This looks more human-like than more of a monster. But at least they kept the iconic logo, I'll give them that. But looking at it, it's just, oh no. I can't even look at it! Now look, the Venom movies aren't perfect, but the design looks more like a monster, and sometimes a little juvenile if you're asking me. In case you haven't noticed, Harry is the villain in this movie. He becomes so fed up thinking about Peter killing his father that he gets revenge so he could hit his head with a pipe and gets amnesia. But that doesn't last very long. Meanwhile, we see Flint Marco, aka Sandman, who just broke out of prison to see his pissed off wife and his dying daughter Penny. I love the scene where Flint tries to pick up the locket of his daughter. It symbolizes what he's about to lose and what he's become, and I love it. Also, I understand why this movie was hated. It's trying to fit all three villains into one movie, and I don't mind trying to fit everything into one movie. It makes it better for me to learn more of their storylines and what's happening, and it's perfect. I'll take it any day. MJ is just the most annoying person in the movie. She gets pissy about Peter kissing Gwen Stacy and leaves Peter for Harry. But Harry gets stabbed and dies, so there's a funeral and you know what happens already. You saw the movie. Also, there's a dance number, and I was laughing at how funny emo Peter Parker was. It's just so funny. The action is the same as the first two movies, just cartoonish CGI and nothing else. And Sandman fades away Infinity War style.
I don't feel so good.
Wait a minute, did Sony predict Avengers Infinity War? Oh boy. The writing, recording, and editing of this video was a lot of work. They're good movies, yes. They're corny, campy, and sometimes have really bad acting and really bad characters. But some people do a good job portraying these characters, like Bully Maguire, Willem Dafoe, and J.K. Simmons. All the action is always CGI. It makes the movies look like a cartoon. And trust me, I've seen crappier CGI than what I'm looking at. Look, I don't hate these movies. Plus, they have their best moments, like the climax in Spider-Man 1, the train scene in Spider-Man 2, and the Bully Maguire dancing in Spider-Man 3. How could you guys not forget that? I mean, hey, Spider-Verse brought it back, so why can't it be the meme it is right now? These movies have good character development from Peter on how he was a person who was careless to being the hero of New York. There was going to be a fourth movie in 2011, but Sony canceled the movie because of production issues and all that. Anyways, I'm gonna leave the video off here. Leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe if you guys want to see another really long review. Thank you so much for watching. I'm heading to bed now. Bye.